What is happening, people? Scarfy Spurs Talk here, back another one of these weekly podcasts every Monday, 8 p.m. Today, I'm joined by a splendid panel of Tim, Ben, and Callum. Tim, how you doing?
Not too bad. Well, very good after yesterday's last couple of minutes because it was, let's just say, it's an entertaining game, wasn't it? So I think I've seen everything in that game. I thought I'd saw everything in the Chelsea game, but yeah, it was interesting and it's put me in a good mood for the rest of the week because I think 4 defeats and a bounce. I think we'd all have been licking our wounds a little bit. So yeah, but very good. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me on the show, mate.
No worries, it's great to have you on. Ben, as well, how you doing?
No, good. No, thanks for having me on again, Harry. Great to see Callum and Tim as well in the stream. And yeah, like you said, an amazing game at the weekend. The sort of change in emotions in the space of 5-10 minutes just shows how quickly football can change. And it really was a typical Spurs Man City game, if we're being honest, wasn't it?
So who takes control now?
What did you think, Callum?
Not me. I've got enough of that on Park Lane. I'm not doing it tonight. I'm not doing it tonight, mate.
What did you think of the City game?
It was such a if but a maybe game. If we didn't do stupid mistakes, we could have gone ahead. If we didn't score our own goals, it'd be ridiculous. Yeah. But no, like you guys both said, it's emotion, raw, just straight to the core and all that. And I mean, I had more hair before all of this, and now I got even less hair after that game. Let's put it that way.
Right, apologies for that. It was my fault. I had 2 tabs open playing it, so I could hear myself twice. So that's completely right. That really concerned me because I could hear everything twice. So apologies for that. It's completely on me. I should know better than that. I do, but honestly, I just get worse every time. Oh, shocking, isn't it? But reminder, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's free to do so, and it helps the show, podcast, and channel grow. If you are listening on any other podcast platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, etc., don't forget to give us a follow and a 5-star review. That'll be massively appreciated. However, I want to start with Tim Wintone, our first guest, and play you one of his songs. I think it's relevant considering the result.
This is an older song from us that really caught on. Has been sung by many fans at various different grounds. So really appreciate support on this one. Quite simply, it's about a guy who's ginger. He came from Juventus and he plays on the wing.
There's not a soul out there, no one to hear my prayers. Give me ginger from Sweden. He came from Juventus and he plays on the wing. Give me ginger from Sweden. Number 21, his name is Kulusevski. Give me ginger from Sweden. He came from Juventus and he plays on the wing. Give me ginger from Sweden. Number 21, his name is Kulusevski.
Thank you.
Class, absolutely class. Tim, talk to us about your thoughts behind that song. That is absolutely sublime.
Yeah, I gotta say. So, see, I'm part of Spurs Song Sheet. There's basically 3 of us that sort of run it together. So you got a guy that runs the Twitter site. I sort of put the music together, and then a guy does the videos. So the video you saw in the background of that song, right? They make it all for me because it's like, football just brings up emotions, doesn't it? But when you actually see like players. I don't know. It's just like a montage, I guess. It's the kind of best way I can describe it. And that song was written in by fans about a year ago. The first one we did was "He's the Reason," which is obviously the Bentancur song. Hopefully he comes back soon. I can't believe what happened last week. Anyway, I'm sure we'll come on to that at some point. Yeah, and I guess whoever comes up with these ideas, it just shows you British football fans. I just don't think, although there's a lot of negativity about our fans, that just come up with some of the most ridiculous comedy songs. And yeah, so again, the whole point about the platform is fan involvement, it's community. So fans will write into us ideas. I get sent stuff on direct messenger or whatever, and then we'll just try and rework them and get them out there. And that was one of the first ones that got sort of sung in the stands, which was just for us it was absolutely amazing. So yeah, it was just great for him to get his goal yesterday, because I just think he's been unreal this season so far, Kulusevski. So yeah, appreciate support.
Great to see, but yeah, absolutely love that. Like you say, go check out Spurs Song Sheet on Twitter, for example, because they've put a lot of time and effort into improving the atmosphere this season, which is absolutely fantastic. Ben, talk to me your thoughts about the song. How much do you love it?
Oh, it's an absolutely brilliant song. A massive favourite in my household, that's for sure. Even everyone in my house, even if they're not that into football, I hear them singing that song sometimes. I think it's really been one of the best things you've had, Tim, go around. I think it really has been one of the best ones. And even like in general on social media, how viral it went as well when it first came out, and then the amount of other songs that have come from that, like Newcastle with Isak, for example. I think that was really the kind of catalyst. I know Man United had it a little bit of Cavani, but I think the Kulusevski one really is the one that's taken off with that song. And yeah, I think it is really an iconic song. Even non-Spurs fans know that song very well. Like in my lads group chat, when he scored, people were putting in it, gimme a ginger from Sweden. And they're Liverpool and Arsenal, Man United fans. So I think that really kind of shows the popularity that song has.
One of the most random things before you come on. So I, as you do. So I went with my mate to Thorpe Park. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, right? So just not been to a theme park for years. So just for one random day in Scarefest. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a shirt made. I was in the away shirt with gimme on the back. And I swear to you, 5 groups of lads has come up to me singing that song, which was just surreal. It was just the most surreal thing in the world. It was like, what? How do you know that song? I was just going, gimme. It's just Jesus Christ. It just like you said, the power of the internet is just incredible these days. You just sort of, it gives us all a great platform to to get, especially the whole point of this is to get the songs out to the fans, to get them sung. So I can't think of anything better than having that platform to push it through. So yeah, appreciate your words.
Yeah, no, exactly. Callum, what do you make of the song? Is it a popular one in your household as well?
It's a very mixed household in mine, because it's only me and my old man who are Spurs fans. My younger brother's Arsenal, my older brother's Man United, my mum's West Ham or Millwall. So I have to keep my head down quite a lot at different points. But because my dad's quite an older generation fan, he doesn't really follow it as much as I do. But when you hear these songs, it's so good for the solidarity of the fan base. When you're at the stadium, you hear them blaring out. It just unites all the fans behind one banner, compared to some of the toxicity and crap we've had for the last God knows how many years since Poch went. So having these lovely songs coming from Tim and all the different people, and even the fans creating them, is so good. It's so good, mate. And it actually lights you up when you go to a game, which is good, and it means that you're behind the players.
Yeah. I just on that. I mean, yeah. I've been a musician for years anyway. Yeah, I'm not anything serious, just like sort of playing in pubs and what have you. I've done a couple of sort of bigger gigs, and you're absolutely right. Music just, again, it's everyone's got their own sort of tastes and what have you. But the reason people go to gigs is either to reminisce or it's just to kind of get involved with the music and just to lose yourself for a bit, So the fact, if you combine football with some songs, some of them are just ridiculous, right? So we've done a Postecoglou song to a Wenger Boys tune, which is just bizarre. And I played that. I think Harry was at the Villa game, so I played that in the shelf bar before the game. And you're thinking, is this actually for real? Like, I'm actually playing a Wenger Boys song, and then because it's so catchy, they people just get on board with them. So which is great. And so obviously, long may it continue. And not every song we do is gonna make to the stands. One got absolutely panned, which was to Hugo. I wrote in Whole Again, as in the Southgate song, and I played that, and it was just a shocker, if I'm honest. So you just sort of think, okay, we'll move on from that, and then we'll just keep going with the other ones. So yeah, it's a great thing, and particularly at the moment with the way the atmosphere is at the club from where it was last year, our stuff just doesn't work like last year. Fortunately or unfortunately, I played the first 3 games in the Shelf and the White Hart Lane bar on level 5 on the stand, and I logistically couldn't do any more, and it probably was quite a good thing, because you just can imagine it was so bad, wasn't it? It just doesn't. It's like a snowball effect. I find this thing, because we started the season so well, we got our Tottenham back. We're playing the right sort of style of football, and you sort of find these things just keep going from strength to strength. So long may that continue.
Absolutely, thank you, Tim. Go on, Ben.
Can I ask Tim a question on that? I was wondering if there's anything you found that necessarily separates the songs that make it and the ones that don't, because there's been plenty of ones I've seen on Spurs Song Sheet before that I thought are absolute amazing tunes, and have never made it anywhere. I was just wondering, is there any pattern you've noticed?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question, because in general, I'm a cover artist, right? So I do a normal gig. I've got sort of 500 songs that I can sort of pick from. I've been doing it for sort of 12 years, and you sort of tend to find patterns in just the normal gigs when you're sort of playing songs. You turn up these, out of the 500 songs, I can guarantee you 30 songs, i.e. Mr. Brightside, all that sort of stuff, get requested all the time. And I'd say what it is, it's being catchy, and then you sort of think the context of a football ground, it's got to be a very, very well-known song, whether that's old or new, just really well-known, because everyone can kind of get the tune. And then it's just got to have a real catchy chorus. So the one we've just done that just went a bit viral was the to Zombie. So he's in my head, Sonny, right? It's one word of the line, and I wrote the verse to it, sort of just to build it up and sort of separate it just from the chorus. It's quite short. And then you're thinking, like, every fan can get that. And then I got sent a video from the Chelsea game with just the fans just sporadically singing it in the goal line bar on the South Stand, because you're sort of thinking, I get it, I get it now. It's just, you've got to make it easy. It's got to be simple. Some of the songs we do are not just for fans to be sung on the ground, because you get a good idea. I wrote a song to Let It Be because it was more of a prayer after what happened over the last couple of weeks. And there's just like a funny little song that we don't expect that to get sung, but the Kulisevsky one, that's kind of your blueprint. It's a long song, but actually people, because it's just sort of flows. It's got to flow. It's got to be a well-known song. It's got to have a catchy chorus, like the He's the Reason. I mean, it's just everyone knows She's Electric, don't they, by Oasis, and it's that sort of thing, really. So when people write them in, again, we don't poo-poo any song. Like, we sort of like think that might work, that might not work. You just push it out there on Twitter, and again, it's got such a following now, and it does go a bit viral. You sort of go straight away whether it's going to work or not. So yeah, it's just a catchy one-liners. That's what we're looking for. Catchy one-liners.
There you go. Hopefully that answered your question, Ben. If anyone in the chat as well has any other questions for Tim or any of our panel, do put it in the comments below. We'll come back to it towards the end of the show. But I want to talk about the Manchester City game now, because there's a lot to discuss as well. 3 games in the space of 7 days. So it's absolutely mad, as you can imagine. So, Callum, I'm going to come to you first. I want to know, thinking before the game, which is really hard, I know, considering how crazy that game was. I want to know your thoughts on the lineup, because Basuma came in with the injured Bentancur. Were you surprised that you stuck the likes of Gill? Any surprises in there for you?
No, I think it was quite what we expected, to be honest. I half thought that maybe Dyer would maybe come in to deal with Haaland, but obviously, as we found out from after the game, and obviously from today as well, from Charlie Eccleshare and Alistair Gold, that they said that Dyer had pulled up in the last training session on Saturday. So apparently that's why he was out. I think it's absolute BS. I just think he's out the door in January. But to see Basuma come back in is what I expected, to replace Bentancur. And he'll, like a lot of people have said, he did have an all right game against Villa. He does a lot of flicks and tricks, maybe not a lot of end product, but he does have that little bit of creativity and flair to him. So, yeah, within reason, it was kind of line-up that I was expecting, because we didn't really have any more blinking options, mate, to be honest. We was kind of left with scraping the bottom of the barrel until you then start nicking Wayne Burnett's under-21s, to be honest.
Can I ask a question? Do you reckon, because I obviously heard Dyer pulled up, right? Do you reckon he would have, if he would have been fit, do you reckon he'd have started him or not? Do you reckon he'd have stuck with Emerson?
I reckon Emerson would have been stuck with, to be honest. It was only a fault that me and Harry and some of the other guys had last week that potentially it could be something, but it's you've seen since summer that Dyer is not in the manager's plans, and he's only there because there's no one else to put on the bench, to be honest, at the moment. If he had a choice, I'm sure Phillips would go on there.
It was the Wolves game that did, because the worst game of the season we played, the non-Angeball game, was the game that he played in. Everyone's sort of looking at it thinking, okay, so you put 2 and 2 together. Yeah, he just can't play that way, can he? And as much as I think Emerson's limited, I mean, they were trying to do it yesterday, and 8 times out of 10 they were getting it, and 2 times out of 10 it was suicide. But I think you're right. I think he's a goner in January for sure.
Exactly, mate. I mean, if you put 2 and 2 together, 2 of the goals were his responsibility. He was watching both of them. So literally that's where you put 2 on Dyer's head, saying that he was at fault. And like Chris said, Dyer's time has come and gone. I think now he's been a good servant. He's been reliable. He had good times. He's had bad times. And unfortunately, he's like Lloris. He's going out on a bad time, I think, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Ben, give me your thoughts on the lineup for the game. Any surprises in there? Obviously, Dyer, we didn't know till last minute.
I thought it was brave, if I'm being honest, with the whole deal and the Celso. I'll be honest, I thought Højbjerg was going to start alongside Bissouma, just with it being Man City. And I think it kind of showed that while it did help us going forward, it was leaving us very vulnerable the other way. Like, let's be honest, I know we've all said it. We could have conceded 5 or 6 fairly easily in that half and did rather luck. Haaland complaining at the end and on social media about the incident with the Grealish thing at the end, but let's be honest, he scores his.
We'll get to it, don't worry.
He has an open net chance that he misses, and if he scores that open net, no one talks about it. And he had another chance that you think on another day he's burying that. So we rode our luck, but then everyone has to against City. I don't think you could name many games a team has ever got a result against City where they've not ridden their luck at times.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think you're absolutely spot on, and that is an important thing. We will get on to Simon Hooper's performance, etc. All that decisions. We'll get to that later towards the back end of the show. Tim, give me your thoughts. Before the game on that lineup.
It was at the Villa game. I sort of saw. I understand why he starts. No one would ever think why you play. A couple of fullbacks and centre halves, but the way we want to play. Dyer's just going to do what he did against Wolves. He starts pinging long balls, I'm sure. So, and that's just obviously anti-Angeball. So I understand that you kept the same team because you can't argue we didn't deserve to beat Villa. Just on another day we win that 4-5-1. Like you said, I would have started, and as proved at half time, I would have put Højbjerg in at the start just because, as much as the gung ho attitude, I'm all for. It was a bit. Well, you saw from the chances they missed, really, like you said, he could have been out of sight. So, and bringing him on at half time, it really did make a difference. I felt, it just sort of steadied the ship. As good as Brian was for the goal, and it was a class turn, and he took 2 players out of the game. He's just not strong enough in it. It was just not the game for him. For me, like against Villa at home, I can understand it. And he's got nice touches, but it's just how many times he lost the ball, got caught off the ball. Again, you just got to look at game management, right? So we've all complained for years about Conte and no one changing things when it's just obvious to everyone else. And then Ange just seems the opposite of that. He sees something, he changes it, which is I'm all for that. And it does sort of put us, put people down on the whole, like, oh my God, it's too gung ho. Well, it was, but he does do in-game tweaks, doesn't he? He doesn't just go all out attack. That's it. He did against Chelsea with 9 men because we had to. Because it was just we were going to lose it anyway. We might as well just go for it, and it nearly paid off. But I thought that was a great tactical move, and Højbjerg played well when he came on. It's just the second half was a different game, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I think it's a sensible move to make that compromise, if you like, to bring Højbjerg in because we were struggling defensively, and we could have easily been 4-5-1 down, as you say, Tim. So for me, it was a really sensible thing for him to look and recognise because we've all been calling out for Mourinho and Conte kind of admit when they're wrong. And just for me, has done it here. But Tim, you lead me on perfectly to talk about our first goal because that massive involvement from Brian Gill. Because it comes from the City corner, that little turn, that little pass, the audacity to do that. Don't know about you, but that's me. I put my foot through it, and it probably ends up into Ederson's hands. But it's away from danger. So the confidence to do that, fine margins, I suppose, in football where it could potentially go wrong. But I like that he's tried it, and he's executed it as well. It was really good. I personally didn't think it was the best of passes from Kulusevski. I think we're just lucky, me anyway, that Doku was the defensive player for City. Hadn't been in that position before, it's fair to say. You could see that. And fair play to Son, didn't give it up. An excellent finish, Ederson's near post. So, Callum, give me your thoughts on the goal, and what were your thoughts at the time when Son's goal hit the back of the net?
I have to be honest, I was actually asleep at the time. I was not feeling great yesterday, so I was actually asleep. And the problem was I then woke up for when the second goal happened, but I've rewatched it, and I think, like you said, not the greatest pass from Kulusevski. You think that maybe it's gone too far right, that Son can't pick it up, but it shows his class and skill for Son to actually have the audacity to take it on from there. And like we said, Hill did have a good aspect in that first goal, but it was one that I would definitely hope Son would be scoring and all that, because he has scored actually better finishes than that in the past, to be honest. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too harsh, but no, it was so good to actually take the lead with them, even though it didn't last that blinking long. That was the problem.
Do you know what's funny? If you think about that goal, right, that just reminds me of the old counter-attacking days when we used to play on the counter-attack, but that's all we did. It was that sort of like... It was, wasn't it? It was actually Conte ball, with bizarrely, but because it's just that quick break and just, obviously Kane's not up top anymore. But Decky's pass wasn't the best. Doku probably should have got it, and Ederson should have saved it if you're being really, really harsh. But create that space from their corner. You look at the end of the game, they pretty much almost did the same thing to us when Johnson knocks it down. I mean, that could have been, we could have scored then, couldn't we? We're probably going to come on to it later on. Then they caught us at the break. It's just such an entertaining game of football. It's looking crazy and entertaining.
The neutral was fantastic. We saw Chelsea and City as well, very similar, open-ended. It's what the Premier League want. That's why I think Ange Ball is a fantastic addition to the Premier League, and I do stand by that. Ben, talk to me about our start. What was your thoughts on the balls hitting the back of the net? Was you surprised? Were you like, I expect us to take the lead? We've done it in our last 3 games. Talk to me.
I think it's a sort of one we all have, that we know we've got this bit of a curse in terms of Man City, or Man City have the curse against us, but we always feel like our luck is going to run out at some point. Every game, I think this is going to be the game. It's going to run out, and it never seems to. And I'll be honest, I was shocked. But when I saw Doku sort of miss time, the attempt at getting the ball from Kulu's pass, I thought, oh my God, we actually might score here. And even when Son shot, I thought he was going to lay it off, because I thought that's a tight angle. And I think you're right, Tim. Ederson probably should have done a bit better on it. But it was just shock more than anything. And then it was, a bit of an anticlimax for what happened a couple of minutes later. But the scenes in my house were very loud when that ball hit the back of the net, as you can imagine.
I can sure imagine. Tim, so the horrible bit. City respond less than 3 minutes later from a set piece, which is painful, which in the end was no goal by Son, and perhaps he's finding it too easy. I don't know. But what were your thoughts at the time? The ball hit the back of the net. Was it frustration? Was it despair? Or was it, I don't know. Talk to me.
Well, I went asleep for that one. I think I was making a cup of tea because I had to calm down a bit, and then by that point we'd already conceded, so I had to rewind it and rewatch it. I don't know, the problem I see at the moment, and this is, we are down to our bare bones, and I get the dire thing, but you look at the goals we conceded against Villa, and again, City yesterday, free kicks in the box, crosses in the box, we just can't deal with, can we? Van der Ven and Romero, that's not happening now. At least Romero's going to come back in. You'd hope he'd start dominating those balls. But it was a similar, no one really dealt with it. I mean, it was unlucky. They call it like a lazy knee, don't they? So why put your knee out at that point, I guess. But then I can't remember who the player was. There was some at the back stick that would have stuck it in anyway, had Son not touched it because he wasn't being marked. So we just look really flimsy from these crosses because we've got fullbacks playing centre half. They're not the biggest. So it's got to be a trade off somewhere when you're down to your bare bones. And I just thought the longer that game goes at 1-0, the more chance we've got, not necessarily winning, but just getting a draw. And then you're thinking, God damn, it should be like 4-5-1 now. And obviously, fortunately, it wasn't. But that was my thoughts. As soon as that's gone in, I thought they've scored too quickly after we've scored. And they haven't had time to sort of the fans get on their back and whatever. They just got straight back in it. And then, like you said, should have been 2-1 up within 2 minutes after that. So it's a strained period of the game, I think you could say.
Indeed, strange is the right word to define that. Ben, so, as you said, you talked about City with the record, etc. City get that goal 3 minutes later, a roar from the crowd. Did you, at that moment in time, expect them to run away with it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because you always still think in the back of your mind with our firepower up front, you thought, okay, we've seen we can create chances early in the game. But I think about 2 minutes after that, I did think the amount of chances they're getting, it was feeling like it could be a bit of a cricket score. But I guess, thankfully, we rode our luck, to be honest. And I think, if we're being honest, it has happened in a lot of the games against City. I think Doku, he hit the bar onto the post, and Alvarez hit the post in that first half. So, but yeah, did I think we were going to get anything out of that game when it went 1-0? No. I thought, are we going to lose our confidence going 1-1 that quickly after going 1-0 up? But thankfully, the lads showed character and that didn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Callum, City painfully took the lead in the end. 31st minute goal through Foden. Quite a painful one. It's one where Davies kind of broke the line, if you like, to go with his man. And once he done that, there was no getting back for it. 2v1. Foden, so much space. It was just a matter of fact was how quickly could Vicario get to it. In the end, he had absolutely no chance. So give me your thoughts on City's goal to go 2-1 up. Anything we could have done?
It's always a risk when you're playing handball with that high line. You're either going to catch them offside or they're going to play you through the lines, drag one of your defenders away, and that's what happened. I mean, Foden's a class player. I always say that he's one of the definite world-class players for England on his day. And, he skinned Davis. He didn't really give us a chance in 2-on-1. Yeah, I don't think that with the options in centre-back that we had available, there was much else we could have done. Potentially, it could have been like if we'd have said that we'd have played deeper, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But Andrew's stubborn. He weren't going to change his mantra or philosophy. So it's you play handball, like all Celtic fans. You score goals, but you concede a lot of goals as well. You just got to take it. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. And caption Grandma says City did us a favours there, taking Doku off Foden and Gardeval. Grealish is way off form and Lewis doesn't compare to Foden. And Ake's bang average is coolly demonstrated. Thanks, Pep. Thanks, Pep, indeed. I thought Doku was dangerous, but I do believe he did pick up a knock at the same time. Grealish came on, also looked good. I think that just shows the depth that Manchester City have at this moment in time, doesn't it? But Ben, 2-1 it was at half time. Do you think we were lucky that we weren't 4-5-1 behind? And what were the real City chances that stood out to you? Because we obviously had Haaland's couple of chances. Doku hit the bar. You mentioned Alvarez.
I think it was Haaland's open net, if we're honest. Because obviously Emerson's lost the ball out wide. It's come back into the middle. So Davis isn't anywhere near him. Vicario's dragged wide. And he's pretty much got the whole goal to aim at. And he's entirely missed. I think that was really the killer chance of the half. So, going in that half time, if you'd said to me before the game, we'd have been 2-1 down at half time, I would have absolutely taken it.
Yeah.
But I think we were very lucky and we were just better in the second half, to be honest, until we scored. If we're being honest, I think other than the first 2 or 3 minutes where Vicario did that pass in the second half, I think we were the better team.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ben. Tim, is it fair to say there, I think we can all kind of agree on this, that we were lucky to only be 2-1 down at half time? Would you have taken that beforehand as well?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, it's always that bit where you concede so quickly after taking the lead, and then you're just vulnerable. And you saw it when we got back to 2-2. City were vulnerable, weren't they? And they're at home, and they're the best team in Europe. It's very, especially the way we were playing. At that point, my love of handball was just turned into suicide, like kamikaze football, because it's so difficult. You sort of I respect it in so many ways to have the balls to do that and get these players that are quite limited, aren't they? Davis and Emerson are just not used to playing this way. That's not to say many players are, because it's quite revolutionary what he's trying to do. And but just even for them, because they know if they make a mistake, they're going to be in for it, not necessarily internally in Spurs, but in the press they're going to get battered, aren't they? So it's just weird. And then it's just chance after chance. You're like, surely they're going to change. And it starts, no, absolutely not. And it did pay off for us. You've just got to look at it. But yeah, but should we have been 4-1 up, 4-1 down at least? Yes, and then the game's over, and it could have been a cricket score. So it's just like you said, football so fine margins, and again, it's gone against us the week before at Villa. God, Kula scores that in 2 minutes, we might win that game 4-5-1. It just everyone tries to analyse it, don't they? It's just these fine margins, and it's just what you do under pressure. And yeah, it did surprise me the amount of misses. I'd never seen City that unclinical, if I'm honest.
Especially Haaland, 2 chances to score.
The first one's an absolute. I mean, that you just never see that again in your life. Like, Cyborg misses from like 2 yards. It just doesn't happen.
It's too easy. Like he's got in his head, for me anyway, that he thinks he's scoring, so he's not put 100% accuracy and focus behind that.
Maybe you're right. But yeah, we as they say, you got to hang in there, haven't you? And you could just tell that started to get on their backs, particularly the fans. Because you just know, and then when I stood in the ground at Villa, I just knew last week when we started missing chance after chance after chance, we're going to pay for this at some point. And
it was only a matter of time.
We did that week, didn't we? So, but yeah, it's just one of those things. We go at 2-1, and then you're always in the game, especially with our record against City, the way we play. You've got to say that we're always going to have a chance in games. We're never really going to be out of it. Maybe 3-1, 4-1, yes, you are, but. At 2-1, we can always nick a goal here and there, which is great because again, it keeps you watching it. It keeps you entertained, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I love this. Long way to continue. Callum, now some good stuff. Lo Celso equalised with a fantastic strike, 69th minute to pull it back to 2-2. What were your thoughts at the time? Was it, come on, let's hold on for a point, or let's go for a winner?
I think I was definitely going for the point because based on how it was with City last year when we was 2-0 up, then we went to 2-2 and then it ended up 4-2. And to be honest, I know I hate the Etihad. I think it's a den where you can't get out of. So to actually see Gio score that was brilliant because it's 2-2 for him in consecutive weeks. And obviously he likes to go against City because that was his only other Premier League goal apart from last weekend as well. So it was definitely a bit of luck though with his goal because obviously it did take quite a big deflection on the way through. So I can sing his praises, but I'll be like, yeah, he did a good goal, but conservatively, if it doesn't have the deflection, it's going straight into Ederson's hands, like probably the Song goal in the first time around. So, yeah, good to be 2-2 up. City looked vulnerable. We hit them and we started having chances. So, but then straight away from half time, they were getting a lot of chances as well. They didn't look out of it at that point, and I don't think they ever looked out of that game. So I don't think we can kid ourselves and say that definitely we could have gone and got a win because City probably were the better team on the day. I would definitely say, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Ben, so 81st minute, Haaland lays it to substitute Jack Grealish, who replaced Doku through injury earlier on in the half. And Grealish basically done for me anyway what Haaland couldn't do. That was slightly in the bottom left-hand corner. To take the lead from Manchester City. In this moment in time, were you thinking, oh no, that's it, City have won? Or did you always have in the back of your mind that we could come back and still get something out of it?
It's a difficult one because in the emotion at the moment, I definitely thought that's it. And I was particularly angry with Bissouma for holding on to the ball for too long.
What's he doing?
I know. I think I tweeted it at the time. What is he doing? And I was really worrying that's the game thrown away. We've worked all 80 minutes to be in this position and we've thrown it away over something so silly. But I don't know. It was a weird one because right in the moment I thought that's it. But almost a minute later, it just felt like we had a bitter spirit about us still. And that you never thought it was necessarily over, despite it being 99-1 chance feeling we're going to get something out of this game, but there was still always like a glimmer of hope, I thought, because you always knew we might get something on the break, which then obviously proved. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I've got to be honest with you. My thoughts were, oh my God, all this hard work again, to get back and we're going to get nothing from the game. For me, it was just frustration. I was proper fed up because how well we played. Chelsea, Aston Villa got nothing out of the game. I thought, oh, here we go again. Tim, the best bit of the night, Kulusevski, back post, cross by Johnson. Isn't getting the credit he deserves for that cross, by the way. Really clever. One winger to another. and an incredible header off the bar and in. Talk to me with your thoughts when the ball hit the back of the
Oh,
net. Where you were, what were you doing?
So I watched the game. So I've got a 2.5-year-old at home, and I've got him his little Alfie too. A couple of Spurs shirts and stuff. So he got flung around the room 3 times. So I think he was having a bit of. He was just going to recover from that afterwards. Just went absolutely nuts because it's a weird feeling because I think everyone would have sort of not taken 3-2, but the way we played, you just can't legislate for Basuma. I mean, I don't care what anyone says about, it's too dangerous playing Angeball. A player does that in any style of football, it's just unforgivable, isn't it? You can't turn into 3 players against Wolves, let alone, Ebbsfleet, you wouldn't do it, would you? It's just, it was a crazy decision. And he was unlucky that he got punished with it. And then you're thinking, okay, that's done, completely done. And then I've got to say, you just mentioned it. So Johnson has been an absolute revelation since he's had to come in. The pressure he must have had, with all these injuries, he's been phenomenal for me. He's just untouchable down the wing. What a player! And like you said, great cross, pinpoint cross. And I could see Kulusevski just coming in, and for having played as a centre half, there's nothing worse than you're stood there and a player with momentum coming onto the ball because they're always going to get there first, no matter what. And obviously he's an absolute unit, isn't he, Kulusevski? But is that the first header he scored or something? It doesn't score many headers. And just amazing. I thought he'd gone wide and then just sort of bounced on the net. I was just like, oh my god, he's actually scored. And then you do the usual. Is it VAR? Is it VAR? Please, no. And then obviously we got away with it. So and then we really did get away with it at the end. But yeah, just amazing. Like I said, it's worth a win for what that will do. Hopefully for the confidence off the back of 3 defeats, it's worth a win. I know it's not the points, but just the hopefully the momentum and the confidence.
And it feels like a win, and I think it should because Liverpool were jumping up and down last week with a 1-1 draw at the Etihad, and that is a pretty much fully fit Liverpool squad. Not being funny, it is at this moment in time. They've had their injury problems over the years, but is right now a fully fit squad. So for us, for me, pretty much a second team, 2 best players at the start of the season, Maddison and Van der Ven out, to go there and get a point as well, to come back twice. For me, it's an excellent result. It feels like a win, and it should. But now to get on to the controversial bit, and that is Simon Hooper's decision to play advantage to Manchester City when Grealish was in, potentially 1-on-1 with Vicario, and then blew his whistle. Ben, going to come to you first. Can you understand City's frustration? But was their reaction from Pep, from the players, etc., in particular Haaland, necessary or over the top?
I think it's very easy for us to preach now and say, no, it's not. Because if we were in that situation, we would be absolutely livid. And I'm sure our players have done exactly the same thing. So I don't think we can sit here and say, oh, they're wrong to do that. Because I think any team in the world, you're played through on goal in the last couple of minutes of stoppage time to win the game. So I don't think we can really criticise their team. Do I understand it? No, not at all. I can't understand it. I've seen it back. I wondered, had he blown the whistle, put his arm out and then thought, no, I've blown the whistle. But I've heard of audio and slow-mos back and it doesn't look like he does blow the whistle. So I'll be honest, it does look dodgy. I'm sure there isn't anything corrupt by it, but to a naked eye and people who believe in these sorts of things, it's not a good look, put it that way. It does look very suspicious. What I will also say is, as much as he probably would, there isn't actually a guarantee Grealish scores the chance. As much as
I fancy Vicario 1-on-1. I fancy Vicario all day, not being funny in that position.
It was miles out as well. It's miles out.
Yeah, and you never know.
Davis for an opportunity, but he's not necessarily going to score.
Yeah, and I always go back to City, like with Haaland going on about it on social media. I always go back to, well, if you scored your open net in the first half, it wouldn't matter. So stop crying.
Very true. Love that. Absolutely. It's great to see the reaction, obviously, but you know that sometimes you can be in this position as well. So generally, poor refereeing. But I thought he had a good display, but he proper ruined it towards the end. But who cares? Super Simon Hooper. Callum, talk to me about his decision. Do you understand it at all? Any understanding behind it? It's not from my end.
I actually do. I've been doing some digging today, and the reason why it was pulled back was because if you play the advantage, the ball has to go directly to the player, on the receiving end of it. The problem was that when that ball dropped, Grealish wasn't near to it. He was running onto it. So it was a stop in play as it goes down to. So yes, there was human error in there, but the actual baseline behind it is that Hooper has pulled it back because from his initial perception is that he can't, it's got to go straight to the player, not as a wayward pass that might get there. So the action that he's perceived is in his job as a referee to interpret the game. It's not down for the players to go, well, it was going to that man. Well, no, it's redundant if it could have gone to that man. The way that it was shown in Hooper's eyes, it's down to him. And if you have a look at Sky Sports' Ref Watch today as well, they said there is nothing wrong with it. Yes, there might be a human error side to it, but the referee controls the game. It's not down to the players to control the game. Simple as that. It's why we have these appointed officials to control the games themselves. So I can understand the frustration from City. Yeah, he might have been through on goal and all that stuff. But the moment that it happened, Emerson made the tackle, an advantage was played. That advantage then wasn't taken because a ball didn't go directly to the players. So a stop in movement and a stop in phases of game had happened. Simple as that. So, I mean, to be fair, the interesting part about it is that obviously with Haaland's reaction, the last time that happened was Van Dijk doing it back in August, and he got a 3-game ban for it. The FA have been very quiet today, so it'd be interesting to see if Haaland actually gets done respectively for both his reaction on the pitch and also using social media, which, even though a lot of them have PR teams, they're not meant to do. You're not meant to voice it. You voice it in an appeal to the FA. You don't do it in the public eye because it discredits the game.
Yeah, thank you, Callum. I really appreciate that. Understanding behind that, because I didn't even think about that. So I really do appreciate that. Tim, now you've listened to Callum, is there any more understanding behind the decision, or is it still for you?
I mean, yeah, to be fair play to Callum, because I had no idea that was even a rule. I mean, I watched it, the bit at the end on Sky, and you just sort of see him put his whistle in. And then it does look like he's got 3-3 on Betfair, doesn't it? It's, honestly, obviously he hasn't, but he honestly think, oh my God, that looks so dodgy. The only thing I thought in my mind, which is wrong, is obviously still a mistake, is did he think Grealish was going to be offside anyway? So again, it's just the only thing.
I think is Grealish.
Yeah. Grealish say there's no advantage. So I've got to pull it back. That's the only thing I could think. But yeah, Jesus Christ! I mean, whichever way you look at it, we got away with one there, big time. So for all the and we have had a lot of luck this season with VARs and stuff. We've just had all our bad luck and injuries, haven't we? It's just they've just spoon fed us all the good luck and then just shoved it at us on the injury side. But yeah, it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't a good look at all. Like you said, Ben, it's you cannot ever criticise City for that, because we would be going insane if that was us. Imagine it was us on our end away at the Etihad for 4-3. Do you know what I mean? It's it's completely understandable, because it's just such a bad decision. Like I said, if he does it straight away, Emerson's free kick, gives a free kick, no one can argue it. That's just an instant decision that you've done.
The fact that he took his time to decide that, and the ball went over the top, and
it just doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. When you look at it back and he drops the whistle, then the ball goes over the top and it's in his mouth. It doesn't look good, but I'm sure there is understanding. See, this is where, for me, I want to hear from Simon Hooper. He should be given this opportunity to go on Sky, etc. Have an interview, etc. And to why he done that, because we can have more understanding this way. It'd be easier for referees, less abuse, etc. When we hear their point of view, but we don't. That's where you need them mic'd up. You need to understand their thinking, what's going on behind it. But again, like, he will get abuse, etc. that will affect him and his family, and they won't change anything, and it's just cycle.
Right, it's the same as you at the video game, weren't you? So it's in the south stand, and then that thankfully it was offside with it. How long did that take? That was ridiculous. And I've not been to a game this season. It's not about that tickets, but it was just forever, and it's just this stupid screen in the best stadium in the world, just saying VAR. Surely it could be like rugby with ref link, and you just hear just hear at least hear the audio of like, yeah, okay, so he's pulled him back, and then you, like I said, whether you agree or disagree with it, you can actually understand the logic. That's all you want to hear. You just want to know what's going on. There's nothing worse than the unknown, is there? I don't know. It just does my head in.
Absolutely. Moving on, Callum, I want to know your player of the match. Go on.
Can I just add something quickly? What was interesting as well, obviously the FA came out today and said Hooper will not be removed from any fixtures as well. So it shows they are backing his decision as well, compared to like the VAR team in the Liverpool game for us and different occasions this year. The FA have actually come out and categorically said Hooper's decision is backed by us. We've reviewed it. We agree with what he's made. He's done nothing wrong, and we're not going to remove him. So it's actually the FA backing their officials as well, which is kind of what we want as well. If they admit their mistakes, they've got to admit when they're going to back someone as well. So it has to swing both ways. And obviously, with the passion of being fans, we're going to, like you guys have said, slate him on social media, say he's this, say he's that. Well, at the end of the day, he's being paid to ref a game. We're not being paid it. So if we want to go and make them decisions, why don't we all go and become referees and all that? Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. Callum, while you're at it though, give me your player of the match and why.
Oh, it's got to be Kulu or Johnson for me. Definitely both of them had quality games. They've both been very good the last couple of weeks as well. And actually, yeah, I'll go Kulu because he's really stepped up since Madders got injured. And it's really interesting to see that, seeing as Kulu is doing so well at the moment, does that mean that Maddison gets pushed out onto the wing as well now? Because if Kulu wants to play in a 10 role and he's got all of these assists and goals coming up, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I think that's a discussion for another day, personally, when he's back. Because there's a lot of depth in that midfield areas when everyone is fit. But Ben, give me your player of the match and why.
I think I'd have to agree. It's got to be Kulusevski. I would say Kulusevski, but I think Porro and Lo Celso are definitely honourable mentions as well. I think they were both brilliant. Particularly Porro kept Doku fairly quiet, considering some games Doku's had in the league this season. I think Porro's performance did go under the radar a little bit, if I'm honest. Obviously, he's not going to have as much attacking output in a game like this, but I thought he did his defensive duties brilliantly and just showed again how much he's improved this season. But like Callum said, I think it has to be Kulusevski, if we're honest. He was absolutely brilliant. Even when he was deeper in the first half, he was the main one who was able to get on the ball and sort of drive us up the pitch with it when we were kind of had our backs against the wall at times. And then obviously to come out with the assist and the goal he did, I think it has to be Kulusevski.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. Well justified. Tim, give me your player of the match.
It's between Johnson and Kulusevski, and I give it to Kulu. Obviously for scoring that goal, but he's just a workhorse, isn't he? Again, he's one player since all the injuries have come in. I think he kind of got found out about it last year. It was amazing when he started, and then the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's just been unreal. He's just been, he obviously does the whole like cut it back, and I don't understand why defenders don't get it, because no one ever seems to get it what he's going to do. He does the same thing every time. But then he's just had some moments of genius this year, and the goal against Wolves, the little flick that set that up. And he'll never stop running. So if you're a defender, it should be horrific to try and defend against him, because you just know he's never going to give up. And I just love him. So yeah, definitely for me. And then the Johnson, like you said, was second. And yeah, Porro as well, been great this season. He was really good yesterday, really, really good. Yeah, the players that we need to step up are stepping up, thankfully.
Thank you. Now let's move on to West Ham and our upcoming games. See, I always ask this question on every single podcast. Obviously, it changes depending on the opposition. And I just want a number of how many points for this. And this is how many points do you think we're going to get for our next 4 Premier League fixtures? It's always tough, this. For people who don't know, including the chat, our next 4 Premier League fixtures are West Ham at home Thursday, Newcastle at home Sunday, Forest away and Everton home. That is West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away and Everton at home. And I just don't want why. I just want the number of points we're going to get. Ben, how many are we getting from those 4?
Oh, this is a really difficult one. I think I'm going to be there at West Ham and Newcastle. I think they're going to be very tough games. I think Newcastle, Pope being out now might swing it a little bit more.
That's bigger than people think.
That is big news. But I think it's going to be really difficult. I would take 10. That's what I'd take it, but do I know it's going to happen? I'm not too sure. I think Newcastle.
Where are we dropping points? Which game do we draw?
Maybe Newcastle, if I'm honest. I think potentially Newcastle.
Did we go to Forest and win?
I think we've got the quality, yeah.
Fair enough.
I think we've got. I know Forest are very good at home. I know they are very good at home, but I don't know. I just feel we have got enough in the tank, and with Romero being back,
right.
With Romero being back as well, I think we should have enough in the tank to not have a similar performance to Man City, for example, or the defensive frailties of the Aston Villa game. So personally, I think we should win that game, and I think Newcastle was going to be the big hiccup potentially, and we should win the others. But with Spurs, you never know.
That's the thing. You just never know with us. Tim, how many points are we getting? Are you as optimistic as Ben?
Yeah, I'm not just. I've just topped it up in my mind. I think 10. I think it could be 8. And my caveat is it'll be 10 if we don't get any more injuries, because if we do, it could be much less, right? So I think we beat West Ham. I think at home, under the lights, especially off the back of that result as well. I'm edging more towards 10. I think we draw against Newcastle, beat Forest, and then we'll beat Everton. That's the plan.
Love it. Love the positivity. Callum, can you maintain that?
I'm going 7. I'm gonna be kind of more level out. I definitely think West Ham we can do. Newcastle, like I said last night, mate, they're going to be a fickle pain in the backside to beat. And if we get a draw against them, we'll be happy. Nottingham Forest, you could probably do them over with your eyes closed because they can't hit the barn door from 2 yards away. Everton, though, are the ones that concern me because I always hate playing against Sean Dyche. He plays such turgid, boring football that with a team that plays a low block, I think we could struggle against. That's where my sort of thoughts are at. So I'm thinking win against Notts and West Ham, draw against Newcastle, maybe a 1-0 loss against Everton like we did a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, everyone who I ask this question, obviously it depends on the upcoming fixtures. Like the last couple of weeks, Everton's been included, and everyone has said that they think the potential hiccup could be Everton. Not Newcastle, not Forest, but Everton, which I find interesting. Must be, as you say, Callum, because of the style. But before we move on to West Ham, actually one more question. It is about the January transfer window, kind of. So, Tim, I'm going to come back to you. I want to know, firstly, what position do you think we're going to be in? This is hard to think. What position will we be in on the 1st of January, and how important is the January transfer window?
I think it'll be 4th, and I think massively because you could look at it. You could look at it one way. We're going to get all these players back, but then who's to say we don't come? With such a thin squad we knew at the start of the season. We had to have such a lucky season, not having Europe and keep these players fit. And who knew where we were going to be? It's been amazing. But yeah, we definitely need a centre half, and we definitely need someone up top for me. Because if Son gets injured, we're just in utter trouble. So a striker and at least a centre half, certainly.
Okay, thank you, Callum. Where will we be, and how important is January? What do we need?
Well, it'd be our luck that the FA conduct their investigation into that Defoe transfer and we get a minus 20 point haul and we'll be first in the Championship by then. But no, I think like Tim, probably 4th. Definitely, okay. I think another centre-back and another striker in January would be desirable.
Joe, I love the change in positivity from people in general. I asked this question last week off the back of 3 losses and I got an 11th, a 10th, and a 9th, and now we're already in the top 4, and I love it. Ben, are you as positive?
Yes. Yeah, I think once. Well, I say yes. That's with the sort of situation with injuries not getting worse come the end of January when we've had Maddison and Van de Ven come back, because you never know if that could be a worry. Son could be out for months. So it's a sort of situation where you never know. The way I see it is, do we have the quality to finish in the top 4 if we don't have a nightmare scenario like we've had? Yes, we do have the quality. We showed that in the first 10 games, which, it was almost a quarter of the season and we were top of the league, if you think about it. So I think we do have the quality with the likes of Man United. I know they've been picking up points and they're technically, other than this weekend, were the informed team in the league. But you're always going to run out of luck at a point with the amount of 1-0s they've had. And there's always going to hit a point. I think Newcastle, I think us and Newcastle are very injury dependent, if I'm honest. I think fully fit teams, we should do it, but I don't know. I think we've been more affected by injuries than they have, even though they have had a very bad injury list as well. So if I'm going for a safe bet, I would say 5th or 6th. But do I want to say 4th and think it's entirely possible? Yes, is what I would say. I don't think we'll finish anywhere in the top 3, though. I think Arsenal, Liverpool, and City will be definitely top 3.
Fair enough. For me, it's probably 4th or 5th. It really depends. And I think that Arsenal got a tough week for a start. Got Luton away and then Villa away. I can't see them winning both. I could be potentially wrong. Man City as well. I don't think it gets much easier for them. So I think it'd be close between us and Villa come January. And then I think eventually we'll overtake Villa and then push on because of the players we have back. But it depends how the January transfer windows have, because the windows under Emery have been very, very good. Now, let's move on to the West Ham game before we get to the questions that people put forward for the podcast this morning. So we will get to it. So thank you very much for your patience. Callum, I'm going to come to you again first. So how are you feeling ahead of the West Ham game, and what would your lineup look like?
Obviously, I don't like the quick turnaround, but it's Christmas fixture list. So obviously we're going to be really... we just have to live with it. Simple as that. They move the games to put them on TV. I think it's on Sky anyway, so we'll.
West Ham's on Prime Video midweek, and then Newcastle's on Sky.
Okay, so I mean, I've got to remember my Prime password then if I'm going to watch it.
I know what you're like with passwords, Callum, when it comes to FPL.
Go away, leave me alone. I'm still ahead of you in FPL at the moment. Last I heard, so.
Well, that 10 points.
Yeah,
yes.
there you go. But yeah, no, to be honest, I think it's going to be pretty much the same lineup for me as yesterday, potentially with Royale dropping out and Romero coming back in. I would hope that Romero comes in at decent match fitness and not like how Basuma was at the weekend. I would still keep Basuma in there. I don't want to play Højbjerg. I'm an advocate against that. He's just too negative for me. You know, I don't like his backwards passing, and he's I don't know how he's the most creative player for Denmark, and yet when he plays for us, he can't pass forward. I don't know how that works, to be honest, but that's just me.
Harry's head is boiling.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think he can be quite creative. Kind of know.
Well, no, I just know if I say anything more about Højbjerg, Harry's going to cry. He'll cry. He's
not the most creative player, and it depends on the opposition. West Ham, though, perhaps you need that solid player. But David Moyes football, do you need to go with a more creative team? Probably. Tim, give me your thoughts ahead of the game. Never nice, is it? This type of game, to know how much it means to West Ham and what your lineup would look like in terms of Romero being back.
I mean, I was at this game last year. It was as comfortable as a game I can remember under Conte, really, because we never went more than one goal up, did we? I think I would keep the team that ended the game personally, as in Højbjerg. I wouldn't start Hill, although I get the opinion that it's a home game and you need more expensive players. I think in that sort of battle game, you need your warriors, and for me, Højbjerg's a bit of a warrior. So I'll be starting him for sure. And I probably would keep Basuma in there. I think, I just don't think he's ever going to make that mistake again. It is so bad that I don't know. I'd keep it as it was. I'd just put Højbjerg in for Hill and keep the rest as it was, because you got to give those guys, the second half was brilliant. So just let them crack on, especially taking the confidence away from the result as well. So that's my.
I think I prefer you to Callum, Tim, with your opinion now on Højbjerg. I think that's settled. Sorry, Callum. When it comes to Højbjerg, it's important.
Can I just come back to Tim? Tim, what formation would you play then if you was going to play Højbjerg? Would you go 4-3-1-2 with Johnson and Son up top? Because if you're going to play with Højbjerg, then you have to bring Kulu out of his 10 position and push him out to one of the wings, don't you?
You do, and that there's your problem, because then you're trying to put square pegs in round holes, aren't you? I get the point. I think if you saw the analysis on Sky, Hill and John, they're just rubbing the literally on the halfway line, weren't they? Right on the line, on the wing. So I get you got to change things slightly. I just think, I would go with your suggestion. I just think with that as nasty as that game's going to be, I just think it's probably just a bit too much for Hill. He might just start him again and do the same thing if it doesn't work. Because obviously Hill's got a lot of skill, and I don't know. I like what Højbjerg did in that game, and I'd give him a chance again and see where we go. And obviously and still start Lascelles. So I mean, God, how good has he been? It was so lucky. In some ways, we're so lucky the fact that these players have come in, which no one expected would do anything, and again they've just turned up, thank God. So we need the same again on Thursday.
Absolutely. Ben, talk to me about your lineup before we get into score predictions.
I think it'll probably be the same team, if I'm honest, that started. I reckon Gill will start. The only thing I can think maybe not is the physicality of West Ham, but the counter to that is what other options do we have? If we're being brutally honest, you could say, but then we've got Gill to bring off the bench. But if I'm honest, with Richarlison's lack of minutes in the tank at the moment, with Ange saying he could only play 5 or 10 at the weekend, I think it'll be the same team, probably, if we're honest. Obviously, with Romero coming back in as well.
Yeah, Romero will be back in. Let's hope he learns his lesson. That's completely other thing. Now the fun bit, score predictions. I just want your score prediction. I won't go with why, because I want to ask a couple of questions on the FA Cup draw and questions for the podcast to fit it all in. Firstly, Ben, I'm going to come to you. Score prediction. Just the score prediction, please.
Ooh. Do I go optimistic or do I use my head? I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs.
Thank you.
3-1 Spurs.
I love the positivity. That's what I was going to say. Tim?
A bit tighter, 2-1 Spurs. They'll definitely score.
Yeah. Callum?
I'll stick with what I said last night. 3-1, mate. 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going 3-1 as well. I think West Ham will be in the game. But I think we just have too much quality for them in the end. And actually, while we're at it as well, because there's no podcast for the Newcastle game. This is the beauty of 3 games in 7 days. Score predictions of the Newcastle game. Hard to think out at the moment. And Tim, give me your score prediction for 6 days' time.
I'd hope for another 2-1. I think it'd be 1-1. I think it'd be a tight 1-1 that game.
Okay, Callum?
It's got to have goals, 2-2.
Oof, love it.
Right.
Ben?
Nick mine, 2-2. I think 2-2 as well.
I think it's a 3-2 game either way. I can't make my mind up which way yet. It really does depend on who is available for both teams. Because if Sarr's back for us, it makes a big difference. I'm assuming Pope is out, etc. Wilson. So it could be in our favour. Who knows? It depends again. The results coming into momentum, etc. Before we get on to the questions people have for the podcast, I do want to quickly go over the FA Cup draw. So Callum, favourable draw for us or not? But Burnley at home for people who don't know.
Yeah, of course it is, mate. Of course it is. Company's won his first game of the weekend, but to be honest, we've got more than enough to beat Burnley. If we don't, then it's definitely going to be down to Ange doing another Fulham lineup of second-string people. Let's put it that way.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough. Tim, favourable draw or not? People saying, we've got Premier League opposition this early, but it's at home for a change.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I'd rather have Burnley at home than oh God, Maidenhead away. Do you know what I mean? Just the way
Exactly.
our cups have been. Do you know what I mean? It's just the Fulham game was just such a tough. It's always good. That was a real tough draw. I know we lost it on penalties in the end. So yeah, I think at home again we should have enough. I think we'll go strong as well. We should go for that.
For me, Tim, there's nothing worse than third round, like you say, playing someone at Maidstone or
Horrible.
Championship League 1, League 2 team away from home, televised BBC. Everyone's going, oh, here we go. Here's the cup upset of the round, and it's embarrassing, and it's happening.
The giant killing situation has just never worked for us, has it? When we've those situations.
So at least with this, there'll be no attention on it as much, and we should be okay. We've got to treat it seriously. We haven't won a major trophy since 2008. We need to attack the cup. I hate to say it, but we need to treat it seriously. We don't. Every year I say this, and we don't. We get knocked out. So hopefully this year is to change it. Ben, favourable draw, surely.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's a home tie as well. The amount of away games we get in cup games, and I've been begging to go to a home game, and I'm just glad that we're going to have one, and I'll definitely be there, that's for sure.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Now we will get on to the questions that people put forward for the podcast on Twitter this morning. So massive thank you. You did submit your question. Not many this week, but that's completely fine. Tim, I'll give the first question to you. Barney says, morning, Harry. Question for the show. Do Spurs have the potential to make the later stages of the FA Cup or even maybe winning it? Love it.
Yes. Again, who knows with injuries? I think the fact we're out of Europe is massive because even under previous managers, obviously we were in the Europa Conference League, then the Champions League, and I don't agree with it, but I understand why with the squad we've got, we couldn't really fight on all fronts. I think even now we depleted squad. Thank God we're not in Europe. But yeah, I think, and again, I just think Ange gets the club. Like in everything he's saying, the way we're playing, I think he kind of gets we need some success. So to give it a go, it's not to say we're going to win it because it's a cup competition. We know what that's like, and again, it is a lot on how many draws you get at home and who you get. But I think we'll really go for it big time this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay said Sky Sports announced the 215 extra Premier League games this season for 2025-26, but I will say I don't think they think about the fans because that will come with new kickoff times like the likes of Sunday evening and more games on a Monday. So not sure what I think about that. If anyone has a say,
does that at least mean we get 3 o'clock kickoffs now? Because that'd be nice.
I had a look into it, and it looks like they haven't removed the rule, which is pathetic. I've got to be careful what I say on here, but that's what they need to get rid of. That is pathetic. It is an old-fashioned rule that's outdated and hasn't been changed. And they should be worrying about that. And also, their televised choices is really poor. We saw on Sunday, Palace and West Ham.
It was.
Yeah. That was shocking. Liverpool was on. That was 4-3. Chelsea and Brighton 3-2. Even Bournemouth and Aston Villa at 2-2. I would have definitely watched that. 3 games that went down right to the wire, and they chose Roy Hodgson versus David Moyes. That is inexcusable. So boring. Do I need to say anything more? I can
add to it. Get a fire stick. You need to get a fire stick. I will say no more.
Good old handy fire stick.
I just like the Al Jazeera satellite. That does me a favour. Every time it pops over, just click, 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 click. There we go. We've got 1,000 games.
About it, they wonder why there's so many illegal streams and that streaming going around. When they make it the price it is to watch football legally in the UK, and they can't even be bothered to televise good games. And if they do, there's not enough of them. So very poor. For me, it's just people who make the rules don't understand the game or don't follow the game or who don't have a clue, doesn't affect them. So they get it for free anyway. But hey ho, that's my rant done for the day. Callum, question from Finno I'm going to give to you. Who do you start with Romero next game?
It's got to be Davis. You know my faults. I'll always go for a left-sided player to play in a left-sided position compared to putting
what
Emerson
was Luke
in
smoking
there.
Yesterday, Callum, about going with Emerson and Romero.
Remember, like I said last night, there was points that I agreed with from both sides, but my own personal preference is definitely that I'd rather a left-sided player. But Emerson is better defensively, I would say, and he's a lot more pacey than Davis. So if you do need someone who could recover something, he could potentially be that option. But yeah, preference would always be to go with Davis over Emerson if it was on the left side position. If it was the other way round and it said playing Romero on the left, I wouldn't do that because he got skinned alive there last season when he had to play the back three times. It's just the same preference, mate.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. And Tim, I'll give the final question of the day for you from Barney. Big up, Barney. I know he's listening in the chat, so listen up, Barney. Barney says again, morning, it'll be evening now. My question for Tim is, what Spurs player has impressed you the most so far this season, and why? It's a good question.
Yeah, I think I preempt to answer it straight away because it's just easy for me. Kulusevski's just been amazing. There's a few games he's been in and out, but just of late he's just been relentless, absolutely relentless. Again, I kind of answered it based on who we've got available now because you can never really answer what could have happened. I guess Maddison would have been pretty much everyone's first choice, wouldn't it? I'm sure with the form he's been in, or Van der Ven. But Kulusevski's been there pretty much from the start, hasn't he? And after a tough season last season, closely followed by Son, I would say. But yeah, I'll give it to Kulu.
Okay, thank you very much. And that is all your questions for the podcast. And that kind of wraps us up nicely for this week's podcast. Massive thank you to everyone who's tuning in live on YouTube, after on any other podcast platform. A massive thank you to my three guests here. Tim, firstly, thank you very much for coming on. I do hope you enjoyed that. Where can people find you and talk to us about the Spurs Song Sheet?
Yeah, so again, any ideas, you can DM me or just send it straight to Spurs Song Sheet. So it's at Spurs Song Sheet. It's really easy on Twitter, on X. I keep calling Twitter and old money. And mine's at Tim_Wintone. You can find all the songs. I put them on an album on YouTube and on SoundCloud. So again, it's just at Tim Wintone on YouTube. You'd find it's called we call it From the Lane, as you do to give it a name for the album. So that's where you can find us. And again, any ideas, write them in. You never know, you might get put out there.
You never know. Keep up the great work, Tim. Massive thank you for coming on. Callum, thank you for coming on last minute. Big up to Pav and Travis, who couldn't make it for personal reasons last minute. Pav called into work and Travis for mental health reasons. So Callum, talk to us, about where people can find you and Park Lane Podcast.
Yeah, as always, mate, Callum Stubbs 97 on Twitter, always on Park Lane Podcast now, obviously as co-host with you, Luke, Winnie and Dave when he's back. It will be good to see our friend back at some point. But yeah, as always, Sunday nights, and Luke and Winnie do have should be Wednesday or Thursday this week for the FIFA stream. So hopefully everyone can tune in as they always do. So
yeah, it's called the Least Navidad, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying the name. Yeah, I don't like it.
No, that's why I said it. Ben, thank you very much for coming on as well and giving me your time. Where can people find you? Talk to me about Bateman Talks Tottenham and what we pretty much do every match day now.
No, thank you for having me on, firstly, Harry. And Bateman Talks Tottenham is my channel with me that I run with my dad. And most videos are done sort of match reactions, match previews, and then match day vlogs when I'm at the games. And like you said, Harry, when we're both at the game, we usually have a segment in the video where I'll meet up with you before the game and we'll talk about and sort of preview the game. And yeah, basically it's just kind of my experience of the game, and you occasionally get the odd viral moment that is, well, my experience of amazing scenes like the Sheffield United game this season. You see the absolute scenes in the North Stand when we equalised, and when we won it in the 100th minute was amazing thing to be able to look back on. Even as a neutral, if it wasn't my channel, I'd say what an amazing moment to look back on and see the scenes in the stadium. But Harry, I am actually in the South Stand for Thursday and Sunday, so it'll be easier to come and see you. So
look at that. Perfect. I'm not the West Ham game, but I'm the Newcastle game.
Have you on the channel again? Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Go check out all these wonderful guests on all socials. That's Ben at Bateman Talks Tottenham on YouTube and Twitter, Callum Stubbs and Park Lane Podcast, and Tim Wintone and Spurs Song Sheet. If you want to follow me, don't blame me if you don't. You can follow me there, Harry Scarf 22, football content creator and YouTube, and also an advocate for autism and neurodiversity. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be massively appreciated, because ultimately it is free to do so, and it helps the helps the podcast and channel. Goodness me, that's poor. I know it's a Monday, but it's not a good enough excuse. Grow, and as well, if you're listening on any other podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star reviews are massively appreciated. But as we always say on this show, up the Spurs. And now it's time for Postecoglou Baby by this man, Tim Wintone.
You were working as a manager at Celtic Park when we met you. We picked you out, you shook us up and turned us around. You've turned us into something new. And Postecoglou, you know that we believe it when you say you're gonna change it. And Postecoglou, we're the mighty Tottenham and nobody's gonna stop them. Oh, we look so fine in blue and lily white. And then he said to me, I'm from a land down under. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou.